everyone, I hope you all are doing well and having a great fall so far. It's almost December, the holiday season is coming up, so I hope everyone's doing well. In this video, this is our second set of the words that we are going to look at from the dictionary that I had found when I had gone through the dictionary. Some good words that come from interesting origins and have very interesting definitions and are, possibly great candidates for spelling bees in the future. So this is our second set of those words, and let's just jump right into it. We'll do different colors and look the words up in the dictionary and kind of figure out why, what makes it so interesting and special. So the first word we're going to look at is foison. Okay, let's make this a little thicker so we can see it. Foison, it looks like poison, and it's actually very, spelled almost the same way except with an F, and it's pronounced foison. And the interesting thing about this word, the definition is really interesting, but one thing I wanted to point out about this word is that it does come from Middle English, from Middle French, from Latin, so definitely one of those more mainstream kind of words. Usually when something has gone through Middle English, it's, gone through a sort of wide variety of languages, like French and Latin, and we can see it kind of looks like fusion, but when we look at the definition, the first one means a rich harvest, like plenty or abundance of something, but the second one, it says chiefly Scotland, so that means it's used chiefly in Scotland, but the definition here is very interesting. It either means nourishment or sustenance from food or drink, or like physical energy, and then it kind of means the opposite, like mental energy, strength of mind or character. So it's a great definition. The one thing to look out for is previously in bees, I don't think they used to ask words that had archaic because that meant they were old or obsolete. I'm not sure now. I think these words might be included, so it's definitely something to look out for. Don't overlook these words because previously you could say that, oh, it's an archaic word, it probably won't be asked, or it's used chiefly in Scotland, they might not ask it, but I think now they're fair game as well, so it's very important to keep in mind that these words are definitely options as you go through the dictionary. That's a good word, foison. It's fun to say too. Our second word is Dartmoor, Dartmoor. It's pronounced two ways. It can be pronounced Dartmoor or Dartmoor, and you'll see why. It's because it comes from a region in southwestern England. Lots of OO words in England can be either or O. So here we have Dartmoor or Dartmoor, and that's just a very English thing, and that's why that affects that spelling. And basically, because it comes from that area, it's one of a breed of English hornless long-wooled sheep. Okay, so it's a kind of sheep that has a long white face similar to that of the Leicester. Okay, so Dartmoor, and then there's a Dartmoor pony. But again, it comes from an English region, from southwestern England, and that's why we have the OO. And this also points to the importance of asking for the alternate pronunciation because that can always give you a clue of how to spell something if you're not sure how it's spelled. Okay, so Dartmoor or Dartmoor. And the first part of the word is very, easy, simple, D-A-R-T for dart. It's just that second part. But once we know it's from English, and they're in England, that should clear that up as well. Okay, so that is our second word. Our third word is one of my favorites. It's spelled Loxommoid, and it's pronounced loxamoid. It's a very interesting word, loxamoid, and there's lots of things I want to point out with this one. Basically, if you type in loxamoid, you'll get a definition that says a member of the genus Loxema. That really helped. What is Loxema? So basically, we can see it's a scientific word because it comes from New Latin, and usually, scientific words come from Latin or Greek, especially New Latin. Here we see there's a genus. So it's a scientific biological word. Click on Loxema, and we see that it's a genus of primitive Permian labyrinthodont amphibians. Okay, so now we know it's a kind of amphibian, And so, the thing about this word is when you have no idea how to spell something, this is where this can help. We know it comes from New Latin. We know it has to do with amphibians, or some kind of animal at least, when we look at Loxema. And this will help us figure out the spelling because the root words come into play. So, Oma, O-M-M-A, is a common ending meaning having an eye like something, one having such an eye, or so many eyes. So the ending OMMA means I. And so we have that, and then once we know that, we know there's going to be a double M. Similarly, there's LOX at the beginning. Okay, LOX means oblique. Oblique basically means, kind of slanted, not perpendicular or parallel, but slanted. So we have all these kinds of roots in our arsenal. So once we hear loxamoid, and we know it's about some kind of animal or something, um, something along those lines, you should be able to piece those together and figure out the spelling. Figure out that it's an LOX, that there's a double M. And usually when we hear oid means shape of something. It's also a very scientific ending. That should be very clear, that it's an OID at the end. So if you can piece these parts together to figure out the puzzle, that's the important thing about spelling, is how you don't have to memorize the word or even know the word. You have to be able to understand the definition, understand the languages the word has come from, and be able to piece it together using these clues that you already know. So that's why I love this word, because it clearly illustrates that. Okay, so that's loxamoid. Okay, our next word for today is another great one, solideo, SOLIDEO. Yep. And this one seems like it comes from Spanish, and it does. It comes from Spanish, from the medieval Latin phrase soli Deo sit gloria, which means to God alone be the glory. You can probably recognize SOLI, representing alone. SOL means alone, as in solely, when you're solely doing something, you're doing it alone. Or soliloquy, right, when you're speaking alone, right, on stage. Solitude, solace, all these words have SOL, meaning alone, and Deo means God, as in Deus, or even the Greek root THEO, theo, like theology. They all come from that root Deo, meaning God. So this actually means solideo or solideo. Remember we talked about the TH with the line underneath? That's a very common thing in Spanish words. That is basically pronounced the, as in father. So we have solideo or solideo, and that should clearly give away that this is a D. And we learned back in Spanish that the A sound is always going to be spelled with an E in Spanish, and that does hold true here as well. So if you ever want, you can go back to the Spanish videos to review those rules. This basically means zucchetto, which comes from Italian, meaning a small round skull cap worn by Roman Catholic ecclesiastics. So once we know that this has to do with religion and the church, we can kind of use what we know, the solideo part, and kind of piece that together as well. But the main thing about this word is that it strictly adheres to Spanish rules, and that's a good thing. So make sure you know your Spanish rules and your French rules and your German rules and your Greek rules and all your rules, because those will definitely help you figure out how to spell something once you know the language. And if you want to review those, you can always go back and on Spelling Mantra, and you can type in the language in the search bar, or just review those videos, and that will definitely help. Okay, 2 more words. The first of these two, our fifth word, CONGOU. Now, how is this pronounced? Now, what language does it come from? If I had no idea what this word was, I would maybe take a guess at Portuguese because of the OU ending, but I know it's not Portuguese. It's actually Chinese, and it's pronounced Congo or Kongu. Okay, so 2 pronunciations there. It's basically a black tea from China. Again, a very interesting definition, and that's what makes it a good word. And it comes from Chinese Konghu, meaning expenditure of time and effort. Pains taken. I don't know, maybe it takes a while to make this tea or something. Maybe that's the connection there. I'm not sure. But in Chinese, you would see it having a K. Why does it have a C here? There's 2 reasons. One is probably anglicization. So anglicization is the process by which when a language or a word comes into English, its spelling changes according to how English people want to spell it. So maybe when this word came into English, they used a C instead of a K, which is originally what is used in Chinese. The second thing is, here in the etymology, it says probably from Chinese. You can't even be 100% sure it is from Chinese. Even the dictionary says it's probably from Chinese. We're not totally sure it's from Chinese. So again, that explains the C, and that's what makes it a good word, is because it's a little unusual for Chinese that it has the C there. And the go and gu, that should point to the OU. A lot of Chinese words end in OU, but are pronounced as if they're just an O. I think this is a word. Yeah, show. Here's a Chinese word. shou. It looks like it should be pronounced shoe, but it's pronounced show because of that Chinese. So that rule applies here as well. Important thing, there's two words here, Congo and Congo. The second one, as you see here, is just congo. So how do we know that it's this one when we're given the word? Well, you have to ask for the alternate pronunciation. If you ask for the alternate pronunciation and they say, this word is pronounced either Congo or Kongu, then you should immediately know that it's GOU as opposed to just GO. So that again points to the importance of the alternate pronunciation. Okay? And our final word for tonight or today is Benab, Benab. Now, what language do we think this one comes from? Well, it's such a short spelling, and it's not long enough to see any pattern, so it could come from anywhere, and it kind of does. It comes from a native name in Guyana or Guyana, whatever you call it. It's Banab. Okay, Banab. Again, we don't really know Guyanese rules because there's lots of languages spoken there. So the important thing for this word is to keep it short and simple. The only tricky thing is that the schwa is an e. Okay, so Banab. That's the main thing to remember. Everything else is kind of straightforward. It's Benab. It means a native hut or shelter in Guyana, and this is what makes it a very interesting word because it's an interesting geographic location. It's an interesting description, like a native hut or shelter, and it's a short enough word. And sometimes short words are trickier because it's harder to find those patterns in the words if they're so short. If it's a long word, it's kind of easy to piece together the patterns and figure out how it's spelled, but this is a short 5-letter word, and that's what makes it a really great word for a bee. Okay, so these are our 6 words for today: Foison, Dartmoor or Dartmoor, Loxamoid, Solideo or Solideo, Kongu or Congo, and Banab. Okay, so these are some great words. This is our second set of the dictionary words that we are going through, and next time I will see you with a few more words. So thank you for watching, and please stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Bye!